And it's my pleasure to introduce you to four very interesting guests here this evening on the third of our Meet the Maker events as part of the Craftlink project developed by Offaly Local Development Company and Westmeath Community Development in partnership with Leader in Finland. The overall project is funded through the Rural Development Leader programme, and our guests this evening are Clair O'Neill from Enamels, whose jewellery and scarf collections will undoubtedly feature on many lists for the coming gifting season. Beside her, Rosemarie Langtry, an accomplished and acclaimed artist with international credentials. Next, we have Roisin Lennon, Rural Development Manager with Offaly Local Development, and Aileen Duffy, Craftlink Project Coordinator. And we'll be talking to Roisin and Aileen a little later on, but we're going to start first of all talking to our two crafts persons or artists. If you have any questions for them, please type them into the chat, and hopefully we'll have some time to respond to your questions later on. But I'm going to start with you, Clair. Yours is a family business. Tell us a little bit about it and how you became involved and what your role is now.
So I suppose the story all starts with my mother, who is Meab, and that's where the name comes from. She saw the enameling being done, this type of enameling that we do, being done in Denmark, in Copenhagen in the 1960s. So it's quite unique in that it's all our craft is based on open fired enameling. So you'll actually kind of see the sort of colours that we do in my scarf. So rather than using a kiln, it's done over an open fire gas pot, and as the enamel melts, that's how you get the swirls of colour. So basically she saw it in Denmark, she came home. You can enamel on silver, gold, or copper. It has to be a pure metal. So silver and gold were a bit expensive. So there was an abundance of old copper water cylinders. So that's how it all started. So she basically developed her own skills. And she had a little craft shop, and she used to do it part-time. She had a big family, I suppose, and it was a part-time enterprise. And I got involved. I suppose I was very young. We lived in a very cold, big house, and the warmest place to be was watching my mother fire the enamel jewellery. So that's kind of where
your interest.
Yeah, from a very young age. And then we would have gone to craft fairs and learned how to sell and, get involved that way. So then I suppose it was always just a sort of a hobby, part-time thing for my mother. And then when I was actually studying something else in college, I went out and sold the jewellery to shops. And I suppose sometimes it's difficult for somebody who makes something to see the business end of things. And I suppose I liked the selling. And I went out in the road selling it. And then I got into Showcase, which is the main trade show. And that was a good few years ago, and I loved it, and that's where it all started. And then,
so where's your focus now? Do you do the designing and the selling, or the selling alone, or are you busy across all of those different disciplines that take up time in a small enterprise?
Yeah, I suppose I do less of the hands-on now. I'm kind of busy managing all of the areas, but it's important to be involved in them all. Like my mother has taken a little bit more of a back seat now. She's 82. So my partner, Charlie, works with me. We have a team of other people that we contract as well, which is really, really important. And she's very much still interested in it. She loves to hear, like, I'm doing this evening, and where the product is being sold, and, what we're developing. And I suppose the designs themselves are very vibrant. So they lend themselves very well to the silk collection. And hopefully more designs to come.
And it seems her story is going full circle, because she seems to be one of the early proponents of zero waste, and using those old cylinders is a great example of that. And it's a hot topic at the moment, isn't it?
For sure.
So what's the secret to running a family business then, especially in balancing the experience of an older generation, maybe with the opinions and the aspirations of a younger one? Do you fight a lot, or do you get on well together?
You know what? I think the thing is to enjoy what you do. For everybody to have their own space, but then to make time to kind of like, to I suppose to have good quality time together as well, and to enjoy what you do. It's, I suppose, when you work for yourself, it's not just a 9-to-5 job. It's a vocation. It's not something that you turn on and off. It's very much part of who you are. And I think you just have to embrace that and not see it as work. It's just what you do, and enjoy the journey.
And is that heritage aspect important to you still, or has it dissipated over the years? Is it important in the way it informs your business ethos, your design ethos?
I think if anything, it's more important than ever to have an authentic story and to be true, to what you're doing and the history of it and how it developed. Because in a world full of mass-produced product without any story, and I know this is becoming more of a global story. People are working with different people, even the packaging. You cannot source absolutely everything in Ireland, and it's a story of connecting with people, and our authentic story and the history of where it all started is very much a very, very important part of that. I think people really love to hear that when they're buying a product.
And I'm right in saying that when you make a piece, an enameled piece, that it's a one-off. No two pieces are exactly the same.
No. That's a nice thing about what we do. So it's very much more about color combinations, but no matter what you do, like even two earrings will have similar color combinations. You'll never get exactly the same piece twice, which is nice. Yeah,
that's probably similar to you in a way, Rosemarie. That your original artworks will never ever be the same. Yes, you can, and I know you do make prints, and that way you can in a way copy them, if that's the right expression. But how did you become interested in art and craft and was it from childhood? Were you a creative child? Were you interested in art and craft?
Eddie, it's only lately I'm kind of realizing probably that it might be related to my childhood. I think everything that we do probably relates back to when we were younger, but it's only lately I've realized that when I'm doing my art, I love getting my hands in, getting dirty and, digging and burying and finding stuff and creating. And as a child, we always used to work on the farm, and you were, saving turf, you were digging, picking potatoes, sowing potatoes, snagging turnips, picking stones. So you were always picking and gathering and doing work with your hands. So it's only lately I've kind of realized, God, this is what I, could relate back to being a child, because I just love using my hands and I really get great satisfaction out of it. And as Claire says there, is to enjoy it, I feel, is the main thing. And I just love, when I go into doing my art, it's going to a different world. You really get lost in it. And I think it's funny that myself and Claire are on here tonight, because I use fire as well. So the two of us are fiery women. Fiery women.
I was nervous enough before
but it is, and it's the idea that, as you say, the heat and the fire, the way you're using another element to actually help you create your art. So with the encaustic painting that I do. So that's what I love about them.
Well, any farmer that's listening in now is puffing out his or her chest, because you've given them a whole artistic veneer there with the way you described
how hiring me out again, Eddie.
How you took up that. But when did you decide then that art could become your career?
I suppose I kind of, as I keep saying, I fell into the art. I have three boys, and when they were young, I went to a ladies group in Ballynahown, and Aileen would know about the ladies group, and that's where I kind of did art. I did painting and ceramics, and God, I love this. So I went from there then to Meab Business College and did all the art mediums that I could do, or techniques, onto Beatles, and then eventually went to college. But it was only that that I started even looking and seeing the jobs that I did. I used to work in Ericsson's, and I'd use my hands putting things together, screwdrivers and making stuff in a garden centre. It was always, you were kind of making and putting stuff together, and seeing an end product, I think, is what,
for sure.
That's how
when you were doing all that practical stuff, and then you decided to go to college, did people think you'd lost the run of yourself?
Yes, Eddie, you're dead right. Why do you need college? And actually, I didn't even really want to go to college. It just happened that the people that I had been with doing courses said, "Oh, we'll go to college." I even deferred for a good few years the first time, because I didn't think college was for me. And even still, I don't think it makes that much difference, because I'm more hands-on than the academic, that kind of part. But it was like, why are you going to college, or even why are you doing art? Get a real job, is what you hear, like, kind of thing.
And is that approach? I mean, you sound like almost like somebody who could have been self-taught, and is that why you delve into so many different disciplines?
Yeah, see, I love to learn, and I love developing and changing, and I do a lot of different mediums, because I'm always feeling as an artist, there's always one thing will lead to another. And what you learn from one medium, you can bring into your next medium. And I don't even think about it now. It automatically comes that I kind of mix them all up and use all the different things that I've learned along the way. But yeah, I think being practical and the practice of hands-on is what I love to do and still love. I call myself a horse junkie, actually.
And Claire, you use different media as well. You use the what I call the hard one, the enamel, but you also use silk.
Yeah.
Because as well as the jewelry, you create a range of textiles. And
I suppose it just adds variety, as Rosemarie was saying. It's amazing how much you enjoy the hands-on process. Like there's all this extra stuff that you have to do and a lot of sort of digital stuff. But the most satisfying thing is to actually think of a product or think of a design and then deliver on that and have an end result and then see people buying and enjoying that. I think that's really the thing that I really love the most is to produce something that somebody else really enjoys, so. Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter too much to you whether you're making jewelry or you're making the silk scarves. So you're designing the silk scarves.
I think that at the end that to have somebody satisfied with what they've got from you and the design and to appreciate it, that's nearly like,
Does your customer start then with or your journey start with an ideal customer?
That's a very good question. Probably a little bit, yeah. Like, you just kind of think of what somebody would like, and then you're kind of shaping what you do to service that demand,
And you both use very different processes, but in both cases, to me, they seem layered and complicated. I suppose it's fair to say that. And you in particular, Claire, you go through up to 20 processes with your enameling.
Yeah. There's a lot.
A little bit about that. That sounds
I suppose
incredibly challenging to me.
Like people think making jewelry is really it's really like a delicate process or that, but enameling is really hot. It's very dirty job, which starts with making sure you have your copper clean. Like, so there's a lot of processes, but definitely having your copper clean and right. And then you have to be, you're putting on the enamel powder. There's an art, that's an art in itself, particularly with bowls because they have an edge on them. You have to put the right amount of powder on, then the firing process, then you're filing them, you're cleaning the backs of, that's covered in carbon, obviously after being fired. So that's a very, labor intensive, dirty sort of a process, actually cleaning every little piece of copper. And then, obviously some of them are like brooches you have to solder the backs on, which is, your little pin at the back. And that's a very, it's a very labor intensive sort of process as well, and finicky. So yeah, there's a lot of different, I suppose when you're doing it for so long and when you're kind of, it's like you with your art, you're kind of take it for granted, when it nearly becomes second nature. But there is a lot of different processes, and you're kind of always developing them to kind of make them more.
Yeah, and there's that similarity too. That if you go to see the Francis Bacon studio, the mess. Is your studio like that?
I love Francis Bacon studio. Actually, I'm glad. I remember going to the Hugh Lane and seeing Francis Bacon studio. I said, "Where is he? Where is he?" I didn't realize he was dead. This is before I was even into art. But I loved his studio, and I actually got a postcard and I painted his studio, a few times. But yeah, my studio, I couldn't beat Francis Bacon, but I could be
close to it.
Close to it, exactly.
The jeweler's bench is a bit like that as well, isn't it? We were just talking outside earlier on. I mean, it's just dirty, and out of it comes this magic.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's called artistic license.
Yeah. I call it cleaning, actually, myself. Rosemarie, tell me about your process, because there are layers involved in some of what, well, probably in all that you do, starting maybe with the encaustic art. Tell us a bit about that.
The encaustic, it's a beeswax and Dharma resin, and I actually make my own medium, because you can buy it in, but I can make my own. Being here in Ireland, it's not really, you can buy it in America and different places, but I make my own medium. So that's the first process. You have your beeswax, Dharma resin, you melt them to a certain temperature, and then what you can do is you can color it by using oil paint or pigment. So you make your colors like paints, and so then you have them. to use them, first of all, you have to use a solid surface, or you can use a canvas, but generally it's done on a board, which will be primed with chalk paint or the medium itself. So that's the first process, as you say, and then you start working with your colors on top, and it's layers after layers after layers. But you like that too. We use a torch or a hot gun, and you fuse it. So you have to melt the wax, because it's very important to melt every layer, because otherwise it wouldn't adhere to the layer below and it'd just chip off. So it's like you're kind of building a big candle kind of on top of a solid surface. So it's every layer after layer after layer. And I love the caustic, because you can embed stuff in it, you can scratch into it, you can color it, and you can, there's so much stuff you can do with it.
Now, when you say embed stuff into it, you can actually put plants into it, can't you? And flowers and strips of wood. And
you can, yeah, you can. I've kind of found that when I started doing the caustic, I realized the bog cotton. I used to be out in the bog and you gather the bog cotton, but you could never keep it. It would always kind of dry and blow away. And then I realized, in caustic, it's wax. It keeps it, preserves, and it holds stuff. So I said, I know how I'll embed the bog cotton into the waxes. I also would do the fir, the heathers, the fern, all the plants in the bog, but you'd have to have them dry first, and then I embed them in it. So I like abstract art, so I wanted to have a bit of abstract, but a little bit of something that people could relate to, and give them something different. So that's how.
But as well as that, you paint in a more classical way, if not in a classical style. So tell us a little bit about your painting.
Yeah, my painting, as I do say, I have classes, and I haven't really, as I call, done fine art in a while, but I'd normally paint with acrylic paint, because like that too was quick. I could work fast and quick with acrylic. But lately I've started using coal wax, another wax medium, but this you don't use any heat in it, and I love it. It's the layers as well, and the layers where you kind of build up, one thing another, mark making, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's another medium that I really lately I found I use a lot of.
And when I was on your website earlier today, you mentioned your classes, but I see you teach it through a lot of different mediums, including stained glass.
That's right, yeah. I just always felt, and I kind of more or less kind of say I facilitate rather than teach. I find myself saying, I don't like to be called a teacher. I'm more a facilitator, but I love to show people and pass on what I've learned, because I remember years ago there wasn't that many places where you could learn, or get a chance to do these mediums. And so I do stained glass, I do mosaic and caustic and painting, and to do everything. I love all the different mediums.
So the classes, tell us a little bit about them. You do classes for children, you do classes for adults.
Yes.
How did they work?
Well, I would have done the kids classes. I really enjoy the kids classes. I come up on a high from a kids class, I get great energy and boost and satisfaction from being with the kids, and I love recycling materials, and I really love to get them to use what they have around them and see what they have and see what they can produce. And I love that everybody's different, that they're not all the exact same. That's with the kids and adults. I mean, with the painting, as I say, I can show you all how to do one. I remember in the beginning when I started doing the painting, a lady asked me to do painting. I said, no, I can't. But she convinced me anyway to do it, and I said, right, I'll do it once, and if I like it, I'll do it. And that's many years ago, 20 years ago. Absolutely loved it. But I remember in the beginning I used to do kind of show them, from the step by step. And I realized 20 people could be doing it, and they'd all have completely different. And that was just so amazing. After showing everybody the exact same, how colors, the mix and everything, and everybody would be different.
And in those classes, have you stumbled across some real talent?
Oh yeah. I'd be saying to them, oh God, I have a bit of pressure on, and
never thought of becoming an agent, did you? In a gallery.
You see, well, I have done exhibitions of pupils that came to me and shown their work. Yeah, because I absolutely think everybody has it in them, and no matter what you do, it's your creation, it's your, and to be proud of what you do, you know. But yeah, I have had exhibitions, and even the other night we were talking about last night, about, you know, when we finish these sessions, we'll get together and display the work. The work is amazing, you know.
It's interesting because Aisling Muller was saying the same at the first session, that creativity belongs to everybody, and it's been a bit of a thread through these sessions. Do you have a studio experience, Claire, or do you do events in stores where people can actually see some? I know some of it is too dangerous for public consumption, but do you do those Meet the Maker events, or talk about your work?
Yeah, I've done a few of them. I've actually done an art exhibition as well in the past. Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah, so that was very successful with a couple of other artists.
What medium?
On enamel, I did enamel art. Yeah. So
big pieces.
Yeah, fairly big pieces. Yeah, they went out really well. I suppose then we got so busy that I didn't get time to do the bigger art pieces. But it's something I'd
go back to again.
Yeah, I make enamel bowls as well, little enamel bowls, which are quite unique. So yeah, and Meet the Maker. Yeah, I've done a few of them for sure. I suppose before COVID and that there is always a little bit of a deep breath when you talk about bringing an open fire into a shop in Dublin or that, and they kind of go, I'm not sure the insurance is going to cover that. In a way, it's like a get out of jail.
You want to light the fire where? In the middle of the homeware department.
I'd really love to show you what I do, but I might have to burn your house down.
When we spoke on the phone last week, you just come back from a visit to Paris, and in particular to the Marais district. Does travel influence your design approach, and does it inform other aspects of your business as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think you were saying earlier about, you know, how a family business runs and that. And I think it's very important. There's my partner Charlie works with me, and my mother less so now, but did, and it was always very important for us to take our own trips. And you come back with definitely a renewed kind of creativity, and the people you meet as well is a very much important part of that, as well as what you see visually, and you're inspired by a new environment. It is very interesting to see what's going on in other countries, particularly obviously Paris is just amazing, and the creativity and the attention to detail. And it kind of, I suppose, also opens your mind up to what other brands are doing, you know, like it's kind of, that's one thing I suppose about being closed off a bit for so long. You're kind of like, wow, now again, it's like there's a renaissance of the way people are thinking and developing their businesses. And, you know, I suppose as well as that opening up online with where you can sell and what you can sell, we were always very much selling a lot to direct to shops. And now, like you're saying, it definitely opens your mind up creatively and business wise to travel.
Is Paris your favorite city for inspiration?
Maybe, yeah. Like Paris is absolutely beautiful. Like I've been to lots of European cities, and I love Greece as well. I love kind of the sea, the colors, the heat, and I find that very.
It doesn't sound like work to me. But the reason I asked about Paris is that because it has those arrondissements or districts, that it's very easy to get into the local culture there.
Yeah,
maybe more than other cities.
I think I'll have to just go back. I'll have to go back.
Check that out again.
See more, but I was in Claude Monet's house and gardens, and that was absolutely that was amazing. And it was amazing just how many years he spent, you know, perfecting the water lily. That was just to build upon, to hone your art, and then to just spend years and years and years. It's quite amazing. Yeah. It is amazing.
Rosemarie, you're very well travelled too, with a whole series of exhibitions and residencies in places like Chicago, St. Louis, Denmark. You've showed at the Galway Fringe, the Luan Gallery in Athlone. That exposure and travel must influence your work.
It does. I love to travel, and like that to Barcelona, but I've been to Paris and I've never been to Monet's, but I'd love to go there because he would be one of my favourite artists. But yeah, I love going to the cities, because even meeting, as you say, meeting the people and meeting other craft people and artists, it's amazing the connections and the friendships you build up, and as you know, more than that, people would ask me to go, and I said, be careful, oh, come visit me here. And I said, I'll be there. Like, I said, be careful if you ask me, but it has been great the other way around. People have been here, and I'd love to show them around Ireland and my locality and stuff like that as well. So it works both ways then. Yeah.
What's your favourite experience from all of those residencies or exhibitions that you've done abroad?
I had a residency in Patricia Baldwin Sedgwick's in Kentucky, and that was the first residency really that I had done probably abroad or even anywhere really. And I absolutely, now the first 2 days of that I was really anxious and nervous and what am I doing here, and look at these amazing artists and what are they doing, and then I said, right, just do what you do. And it was brilliant to have the 2 solid weeks just being able to concentrate only on your work, and that's what I loved about the residency and being there, and as you say, meeting the people that I've met and the experiences was brilliant.
And then, of course, more recently, you faced other challenges and you faced them head on. You staged a virtual exhibition during the lockdown. Did you enjoy rising to that challenge? And was it well received?
I did. I rose to the challenge because it was something that at the time you felt you had to do because you didn't want to be forgotten about. You put so much work and energy into being, having your art out there that I kind of wanted to continue doing. Plus, you were always producing work. I found during COVID, I was, full time going, and I got more time actually probably to concentrate on my art. So I was producing the work. So it was great to be able to put on a virtual show to get it shown. But I still feel there's nothing like being in front of a piece of art and seeing it in person, but the virtual worked, and it will probably be still around for a long time and will continue to take part, be a big part of art scene.
Yeah, it's I was just reading a book recently, and David Hockney was making exactly the same point, that it's very different looking at a picture of the Mona Lisa and standing in front of it. It's a completely different experience. But did you get engagement from customers online to that exhibition? Did people comment on?
Yes, I mean you would, because at the time people weren't able to go anywhere either. So I mean they had the opportunity to have more time to actually look at exhibitions and stuff online, and yeah, you would get response to your work. And a lot of people actually, it was funny because my work actually changed. I seem to have an awful lot more colour in my work during COVID, and I don't know where that came from because I'm normally a very mutedy, nature colored things, and I seem to be using a lot more colors, so people even notice that, like, your work changed.
And was it that it just gave you maybe more time to experiment and think? And
I'm not sure why it happened, and I'd love to kind of maybe sit down someday and kind of figure out why, but it was probably just that you were trying different stuff, really. You had more time to, as you said, to experiment and try different stuff, and probably use different colors then as well.
Claire, did you pivot more towards online and online engagement with your potential consumers during the pandemic so far?
Yes, for sure. It took a pandemic for me to try and sell a bit more online. We had to do
a lot of other people as well, to be fair.
Yeah. I suppose we were lucky. We were very busy selling to shops. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to sell one brooch online. I was like, I'll be selling 200 to a shop. But no, it's been brilliant because obviously there's product that isn't suitable to sell wholesale. So it gave our business a whole new lease of life, if I'm honest. And I think we will have a better business as a result of it. And it gave me more opportunity to be creative and do more of a bowl collection and art collection. And, you have this, like before, I suppose our audience was more the 11 million tourists that would visit Ireland. So you're selling into shops, you're limited what you can sell. And then when you're online, you can do one-off pieces. It's fantastic. And also the direct interaction with your customer, like it was definitely like a very good learning experience in dealing directly. Like we did a few retail shows a year and had people, it was more to shops I would have been dealing with. So it was a great experience, and I think it'll enrich our brand, and we'll have, I think obviously it was terrible at the beginning because I didn't see anything basically taking away my whole livelihood like that.
and maybe also it brought us closer to opportunities that were staring us in the face for years, because we discovered all of those Irish people who were on staycations and who have a slightly different aesthetic than maybe American tourists. And all of a sudden, they were very happy to support local. And to discover the added value in the craftsmanship and the authenticity that you guys bring.
But for sure. And actually, there was a lot of people who didn't realize what we did, you know, and that was amazing. And the support that they gave us, like, and we started to produce the silk face masks as well. And, that was an amazing sort of a venture as well. But definitely, the direct interaction with the customer and developing product, and then obviously meeting people and the support. But I think it was heartwarming, really, and the local support was amazing as well. So it's something I think it actually, there's going to be a general more of an inclination for people to buy Irish if they can. And that's one huge advantage of what happened throughout.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too that some of the surveys that I've seen, not only are they prepared to buy it, but they're prepared to pay a little bit more for it.
That's
so I think we need to hold off on Black Friday and protect our margin, and because
Green
it's
Friday.
been a tough time for a lot of Irish companies. But I thought that was very interesting that consumers are saying, no, I value it, and I'm going to invest in my local community and that circular economy that's brought with that investment.
I think people really realize, on not just with crafts, but with every local business, that if everybody spends a bit local, that it really has a huge benefit to the economy.
Absolutely. I was asking Rosemarie there just about some of the experiences that she had through her exhibitions and so on. What about you? Is there some event, some encounter with a customer, some story about a piece you've made that sticks in your mind that you really feel proud and happy about?
I suppose it's not a big event that happened for me. One particular one, like obviously I've done the exhibitions in the past and lots of trade shows and everything, but during COVID I met a lady traveling from Italy, and she actually got cancer. And I sent her, I made her a little bowl, and I actually put together a whole box of items and I sent them to her in Italy. And it was amazing then, because she actually sent me a box of Sicilian food. And then I got to meet up with this lady, but it really to me, it was a small thing, but the connection that it developed, and how people are very appreciative to receive something that you've made. It was a very heartwarming experience. And I think it's not just that experience, but then even with the whole selling online, to give something a little extra, it's an amazing thing to be able to do for people, and how they're so appreciative of that, and the loyalty that you get from it. Like, we have one customer who's actually bought, I think, 18 times from us online, which is quite amazing.
But that's quite interesting, because I was involved in a research project last year about the future of online selling, and the clear direction that came out of it was that the journey starts online, but the point of purchase will be the point of best experience. And I think you just made a very important point, that online, you don't just put it up and leave it there. You have to actively be involved, create an experience, and in a way, a substitute for the lack of person-to-person contact.
Yeah, and I think that's where we have to embrace technology or whatever, and be able to portray your story as well as possible online and have those connections. But I think, that was, I suppose, it was a friend, and I'd sent her the product, but the same kind of experience travels through to the business, and I think if you can embrace that and produce something that's good quality and give the people a good experience, and hopefully it'll lead to success. It's kind of
Roisin, I didn't forget about you.
I was sort of hoping you had anything.
I'm going to come to you now, because we're here this evening as part of the Craftlink project. It was organised by Offaly Local Development Company and Westmeath Community Development. So tell us a little bit about those organisations and what they do.
Well, I suppose, Eddie, actually, I was just thinking as the chat was going on, and can I just say, you're very generous with your comments, Rosemarie, that everybody's creative. I wouldn't quite, but I suppose, look at it's great. We have huge admiration for the people sitting beside us, okay, on the businesses they run, and the previous 8 makers who were on in the other sessions, because it's all about people putting the money where their mouth is and going out and doing it, and you know what I mean, and that's what every self-employed person does. And I guess what we're about really is, and you mentioned it, Eddie, when you said investing in the communities. In a nutshell, what the likes of Westmeath Community Development and Offaly Local Development do is supporting people to invest in themselves, whether it's a business, a community, or an individual. And that's what our support is about, is making sure that we get, and we are there to give the best service we can to those areas across. And I suppose we do it across the board. There's lots of areas that we do it in. But I suppose one of the areas that we are heavily involved in, obviously, in this project is the creative industry sector. And I have to say, delighted to be involved in it, because it's a pleasure to sit and listen to stories. It really is.
But what I love about this project, and you guys come in if you want here, is the fact that you do it with such empathy for small enterprises. And there may be some people listening in tonight who haven't been involved in the program to date.
Yeah.
And I certainly would say that, and that the empathy shown to people. So everything has been constructed around the small enterprise, the craftsperson, the maker, the artist, and their needs. And I think that's a fantastic starting point. And we're seeing and hearing some of the great stories.
Well, I think that's the success of the project, to be honest. And Eileen and my colleague here will elaborate. But I mean, when we started out this project, we had a totally different, well, we didn't have a totally different vision of it, because obviously we had COVID. But one of the first things we did was to reorientate the project to say, what is it the people and the businesses actually need now? And to try and design something for them that we could deliver on, you know what I mean? And that's across the board in any project that you do. You start with the end user and you ask them, how can that project benefit you, and what do we need to do? And that's what our role is, really, is to facilitate that. You use the word facilitate earlier, but that's exactly what we do. I mean, and so, you know, the successful project is when it's designed by the people who use it, in a nutshell.
Aileen, how did the Craftlink project evolve? And what I also want to mention here the international dimension that there is to this project.
Yeah, I suppose, Eddie, it started back a very long time ago, really. I suppose Offaly Local Development and Westmeath Community Development have been heavily involved in the creative sector for a number of years. But for me, I suppose even started back as far as 2008, where we had a craft space for makers to come and network and sell their product. And initially, we had these amazing creative people, and the 8 people that we've met in the last couple of evenings, and we had maybe 30 or 40 other craft businesses, but not all of them were maybe as evolved as the businesses we have here. And they were coming to us with products in, can you sell this for me? But they had no packaging, they had no boxes, they had no website, they didn't really know how to sell the product, where to start. So we engaged fairly quickly with Westmeath Community Development and Offaly Local Development to start looking at how can we support these people, these creative people that want to start businesses or evolve their businesses from where they're at. And we engaged then, of course, with yourself, which was fantastic, through the product development programs that we were doing. And I suppose over time, the sector started to grow and develop in Westmeath and Offaly. Mm-hmm. The 2 counties came together and worked really strongly together. There was amazing sharing of skills. Like, even listening to 2 girls' stories there this evening, we've sat in training rooms where we've had these moments that you just have goosebumps, because you're listening to these things that are happening between just the power of bringing
people together
and building this sector and given providing the support that's needed. I know Rosemarie, you've been both, and Clair, you've been both involved from the early stages. But I suppose as time went on, and we did so many really interesting projects, including, maybe you might remember, the awards. We did the product development and the awards.
Yes. In fact, I'm just remembering now the first time that I met Rosemarie, and she had this tiny little piece of encaustic art. I think it was on a coaster or something.
That's right.
That was years ago. Don't say how many years ago. And then today I'm researching for this, and I'm looking through this woman's credentials from all over the world. And what a journey, you know. But sorry, I interrupted you there. But there, she's a typical example of.
But I say it was your support that got me where I am, and support of family and friends and everybody. But without you, I wouldn't be where I am. You know, that kind of doing these courses, getting the support and everything. It's what we need. We need that.
But you know, the magic happens though when 2 counties will get together. Then it becomes even stronger. And then when we bring a group of different disciplines into the room, they learn from each other. You know, that you guys teach each other, inspire each other, create space for each other and support each other, and then you become a network. I mean, on this project, the sense of belonging and networking is palpable, you know, and has been even during these chats. But sorry, I interrupted you because you're going to tell me about the international connection as well.
Well, I suppose that's where it evolved from there. Was going back historically, Westmeath Community Development would have had a relationship with Finland on different projects. So when we started to look at the craft project, it's kind of a natural evolvement then to look at our Finnish partners. So we've two leader companies in Finland, Keskapiska and Rieska leader companies. They might have some of them looking in at some stage. But so I suppose we're looking to Finland. What are they doing over there? What can we learn from them? Are there sales opportunities that we can look at in Finland for our Irish makers? In fact, Claire, some of your work would have gone to Finland last year.
Great success there.
Yeah, we were very happy with all considered with COVID and everything last year was sold very well.
Yeah.
And it's something I suppose we're excited about for the future, you know, is the opportunity to, you know, connect with other. I just, you're saying about the connection thing. So I suppose we all love what we do, but it can be a very, you can be on your own a lot. So even though we have a good lifestyle generally or whatever, and you're working from home, it's great to have the opportunity to connect with other people. And the training as well was some excellent training in the past year and a half, which we still, you know, use some of the people that were introduced to us through the program. Marketing crowd.
He was
brilliant. The only person I could understand.
But Stephen, I suppose and both of you spoke about your inspiration, you know, from Barcelona and from Paris, but equally in Finland, we've explored all of those. There's been a massive amount of learning and tutoring and training with really experienced craft makers in Finland. Plus, we've had part of that project, Eddie, was bringing the Finnish group here, and I know you've met them through your business development training as well, which was huge. So we expected when we were connecting with Finland initially, we knew how creative they were, but they actually learned a huge amount from the business support that they've learned from your program that you've delivered. They're not really doing that so much in Finland. They're quite isolated to work on their own. But we've learned a lot from them. But unfortunately, I suppose just because of the restrictions, this project, you might remember, we started in Ballynahown last
I was just going to ask you about that. Like I know you've been working with the Offaly Traditional Skills Programme, and that began to feed into the bigger idea. And then we had that launch day where we had our friends in Finland were on a TV link to us to the hall in Ballynahown. And we were already under the beginnings of restrictions, COVID restrictions. I can remember walking around the table at lunchtime in one direction and all of that. And we had our masks and so on, and none of us shook hands or whatever. And then suddenly shut down. And then what happened next?
Then we were sitting here going, oh my God, what do we do now? We knew we had businesses like Clair and Rosemarie and the others out here not knowing what to do. And I suppose initially, and Claire, you've referenced we did some digital marketing training, so we wanted to make sure that businesses were online, that they were able to operate online, and that they knew how to market themselves online. We then, I suppose, sat down at one stage looking closely at the Craftlink project, going, what happens now?
And to be fair, you had to pivot what you were delivering people as well, which was difficult because we
were expecting to have the Finnish group over, and we had them the previous December, but we were going to have an Irish group heading over, and the Finns coming back, and we were going to have a great time of learning and everything else. But it all suddenly, I remember, Eddie, we had a Zoom call with you, and Eddie, can we do this online? Is there a way that we can actually deliver this program now online? Which, in fairness to you, straight away.
I think I remember Roisin instructing me that we could do it online.
That would be very unlikely, Eddie. I don't know where you got that from.
But it was remarkable how everybody pulled together. You, yourself, and Roisin and Katrina on the organisational side, the individual members. And indeed our Finnish friends who joined in many of the early Zoom calls, and we transferred it onto Zoom, and we changed the formula a little bit because we had some one-to-one sessions as well. And now here we are this evening, launching our own TV station.
Thanks, Eddie.
Along with what did it mean, do you think, Aileen, overall for people being able to avail, though, of online training, online development. I know you did brilliant videos because I see them on the websites.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the digital catalogue and these were. What's the reaction like to all of that?
I suppose what it has meant initially, mainly it has kept us together as a group. We didn't lose that connection that we have built up over the years. We were able to develop. I know you did fantastic work reviewing the websites, making sure everybody was online, the marketing and promotional piece, doing those videos. That's really important, that storytelling, and we've talked a lot about it tonight, but just having a visual of the storytelling of the making, watching Clair's, like watching that fire underneath the enameling it's just fascinating. And there's some really, really fantastic videos on the YouTube channel now that people can reference even after this evening. And of course the digital catalogue. That was something as part of this program we really wanted to get out there, so that the digital catalogue is there for wholesalers. It's there for the craft makers to send out to their own direct sales customers. It's there on the craftlink.eu website, so people can access it if they want to get on there and go and visit the websites and purchase the products that we've discussed over the last couple of
we've some of them here tonight as well.
Yeah. So it's a really important piece for us that we got to complete that digital catalogue, because we've done printed pieces before, but we've never done something so interactive. So so you can click through and you can get.
Because it's so simple. Once you get the catalogue, you don't have to type in the address or anything. Just click on the link and you're through, and you get the stories behind the people. Get to see some of the product. And yes,
and we have lovely photography that we've built up over time as well. And there are areas again, we know are really, really important, and the girls will both know the importance of having that really high quality photography and the story, the writing behind your biographies, having everything nice and right that people do want to connect and get to know more about the making as well.
Rosemarie, there's some craft people listening in this evening that are maybe hearing in depth about this for the first time. Is there one thing that really made a difference for you over the program so far?
Well, I mean, the support was absolutely amazing. I think without the support of, what do I do and how do I do this and where do I go, the support is amazing. So don't be, as I always say, don't ever be afraid to ask. All you can be told is no, but if you don't ask, you don't get. And I would say to anybody, if you want to try something, follow your passion, do it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's not the end of the world, but definitely, I would say don't regret not doing something.
Claire, what about you? Was there some aspect of the program that you found particularly beneficial, and would you advise people to join the ranks as soon as possible?
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely the whole support of the group, and then the access to really good digital training, and even having the Zoom with yourself, Eddie, but definitely the high quality training that we got was, because I felt definitely like you're looking on YouTube at different trainers and different videos, and it's mind-boggling. So we had access to very high quality training, and mentors like yourself and that. And I think that was, and then if you had any questions, you never felt like you couldn't pick up the phone or send an email. And obviously the larger group, and then we're a group that's all at different stages. So I would say to people out there as well that don't be afraid to do it. So just go and do it. That there is a lot of support there.
Roisin, there are plans for more of this. There's a follow-up plan in place for 2022, with or without COVID. It's going to happen.
Absolutely. And I suppose everybody has referenced it here tonight, you know what I mean, about the continued support. And I mean, there's a commitment there to the people that have done this, and to continue to support them, obviously, into 2022 and beyond, hopefully. And certainly what we would like to do, I suppose one of the things we would like to achieve is to broaden that net and call people to the ranks, and you know what I mean. So we include new makers, emerging makers, people who are maybe part-time makers, and even I suppose there is a strong element to the project, and we haven't, this forum has discussed it, which is the community in which these businesses exist, and without that community element, none of us would be really here. So we'd like to look at that in terms of the traditional skills, and retaining that traditional skills is really important to us and to our partners in Finland and in Westmeath. So I think it's a combination, Eddie, of we're going to try and broaden the scope of the project as we had envisaged doing. Obviously, there's the international element that we have to maintain and want to maintain with our colleagues in Finland. So a trip over to Finland and a reciprocal trip from Finland back here, obviously, to us. The other thing, and it's interesting, it's come up in the conversation, and it's something that we had discussed at length, and I suppose it's timely, and you mentioned COP and sustainability and all of that. We have a design of a green business program, we call it sustainability and the changing business landscape that we're operating in. And what is very interesting from the conversations tonight is that that's happening. I mean, you know what I mean? It's happening all over the place. And for the last 8 makers, again, it came through very strongly. And what we would like to do is to give some recognition through this program to those businesses that are doing that. We have the Sustainable Development Goals. It's getting a lot of media attention. It's getting a lot of, I suppose, as it is very timely. But we'd like to see businesses doing all this stuff. They're just not naming it. You know what I mean? So they're not linking it to the Sustainable Development Goals. So we want to sort of pilot that with people. And they're like as simple as, you know, your education and training, your health and well-being, your, you know, sustainable communities, your innovation in business. That's all the sustainable goals. So I think certainly we would like to try and work with businesses so that they get to sort of promote their business as being, you know, having access and meeting the sustainable goals and our obligations as a country to 2030, you know, in that vein. So that's in the pipeline, and we have the working of that pretty much there, and hopefully that will, you know, add value to the businesses that we're talking about. And I suppose the last thing maybe that we're looking at is very much in terms of a live event in spring with yourself, hopefully, if you know about that. Sorry, I
have another job coming on. Absolutely, and it's a measure of the enjoyment that I've got out of working with you guys and with the whole group. We are going to do a live event in the spring, and an in-person event, and might have 2 parts. We'll bring back that we've been working with, and we'll look at the new products that have emerged, and we'll chat about them and maybe where we could take them into the future. And maybe the second part of the day might be to bring new people in to meet our colleagues we've worked with this time, and to start them on their journey of product development and business development. I would certainly look forward to that, absolutely. And I'm more than happy to do it as a gesture of thanks for superb work over the last 18 months. It's just been so enjoyable having the one-to-ones, having the plenary sessions we had, and to see the results. I mean, we're on our 3rd session, and the product is just really, really beautiful. That's come through this. It's very, it's quite varied, and interestingly, talking of green and green credentials, everybody that I've met on this program already has, if they only realize it, fantastic green credentials. They are making in small batches. They're making beautiful quality products, whether it's from an art perspective, whether it's from a craft perspective. Many of them are using natural ingredients, particularly the people who are working in the beauty space. And we met 2 superb examples of that here over the last couple of evenings, and they also work in a local economy, so they're not flying goods or materials from across the globe.
There's even a point that Rosemarie made that you could, you know what I mean, she could get some of her materials in America, but you prefer to make it yourself. Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's a hugely sustainable development goal, if you want to call it that. You know what I mean? But we're not. I didn't even realize it.
No, I wouldn't have probably realized that, but that's out of necessity probably, and you know, that. But I love to recycle then as well, and use, you know, the cardboard or use whatever you've around you, which is probably part of the green thing that we do naturally, I suppose. You know, and the copper cylinders.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean,
So that sort of brings me to one of the reasons that we developed the digital catalogue. Was, yes, it started out as a tool for retailers to discover great Irish product on their own doorstep, to support the whole idea of local makers. But it's also, of course, for consumers to discover different gifts. So for Christmas, Have you something special to offer?
I do. A discount code.
Right? Tell us about the discount code.
So on our website, if people use the coupon code Irish10, they get 10% off anything and everything, except for the special offers which already exist.
Okay.
So
There's something else I discovered on your website today that I thought I'd mention. If you didn't mention it, this won't cost you an awful lot, but I'll mention it. I love jewelry. You also have gifts for men as well as women, because we've been talking about jewelry and people might think, oh, that's all for
yes, we make cufflinks.
really nice ones.
Yeah,
too.
they're very nice, and they're very sturdy.
Yes.
And the president of Ireland has them.
There's another story.
Yeah.
You discover all this.
And Richard Branson.
And Richard.
Any you want them now?
Yeah, I'll make you a special pair in any color you like.
Rosemarie, Christmas on your website. I know you have gift vouchers, so
Yeah.
people can use those for the classes, or they can use them to buy prints.
That's right.
Or do you do
Paintings originally.
do you do commissions? Or do you
I
just sell
would've.
your own original work?
I would have done commissions, but I don't particularly enjoy the commissions as much as doing the work for myself and doing it and letting people actually see it, and then if they want it. I find that there's less pressure and I enjoy it more, because the last commission I did, I said, oh, took the devil out of me, and I said, I'm not going to do it again. Not saying I would.
People come in and say, oh, I don't think I like it now.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
spent 3 months
Yes,
doing it.
yeah, no, it's very hard, because what I envisage and what they see, that kind of, it can be, you can get the wires crossed. But then in saying that, I had a phone call from a lady yesterday, and she was looking for a painting, and I was telling her, where she could kind of find them or on the website, and if not, maybe I could do something for her. So here I am saying I don't, but I do, it depends. So yeah.
You also have cards.
I have. This year for the they're actually cards, but they're not Christmas cards. They're blank cards, and what they are is kind of 4 of my favorite paintings, and the bog paintings, and I got them printed in cards. And I thought kind of like to give something smaller, rather than a smaller product and a cheaper product than an original. But also then I kind of thought, like, the recycle, you can send a card to somebody, but they can actually put it in a little frame, which I have up there. And I thought, well, that's they can reuse it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that was
yeah.
kind of,
Lovely memory.
an idea of that
Yeah.
as well. So
Let's look back over the years now and ask you both if there was a special pivotal moment or piece of advice that impacted on the development of your career in your business. What about you, Claire? Somebody give you this magical piece of advice, or was there a moment where you had that little discovery that just turned the business around and made it maybe more profitable, more efficient, more easy to manage?
I suppose getting my partner involved in the business as well. Like, I was working just for myself and my mum, and I was a bit fearful of going a little bit bigger. And that really, sometimes you have to kind of go beyond your fear and get more people involved and not be afraid to be progressive. And
That's a good piece of advice,
Yeah.
isn't it? Go beyond your fear.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that's a challenge for most of us.
feel the fear and do it anyway. Yeah, I think as well as that, I suppose, in another sense, when I started to work for myself, I was quite young. And I think sometimes there's people probably that you guys are working with, and they might have, they have maybe had a child or two, and they might have another job, and they could be super talented, but they have more to lose. And so I think that kind of, I remember kind of mulling over the decision whether, and obviously we would have to be working together and he'd have to get paid. But yeah, it was.
You pay him very much.
Paid better than me. But that was sort of a pivotal moment. It was a fear moment, but it's like anything, change can be. It's like the whole change can be a very good thing, a very positive thing. And I think that's one. It was a pivotal moment for me, but that's one. I think that's one bit of advice I'd think is
good advice too. What about you, Rosemary? Was there a moment where you said to yourself, "I'm an artist now"? There's something that happened that triggered that.
there is, but generally, I feel I remember having a show of my work, and a piece was bought for the Irish Art State collection, and I was, that's it. I'm an artist now. You know, I felt I got some kind of recognition or something that if my art was good enough for them to buy that, yeah, I can do this, you know, that kind of way. But I also feel that it's very hard to work on your own. I work on my own and I do everything on my own. And the business part, I hate the business part. You know, if I could get somebody in maybe to do that, I'd love it. But I find even if I wasn't doing classes for a while or something like that, and I go in, I'd be nervous kind of going back, or, you know, can I do this and that? And once I go in and come out, and once I kind of say, yeah, this is what I'm doing, this is what I love, I get great, you know, every now and again you might doubt yourself, but then you get this feeling, yeah, this is what I need to do, and I'm doing what I love, you know, kind of a way. So.
And you're sharing it with other people.
Sharing with others, yeah. So it's a really good feeling, you know.
I get that when I'm, you know, calling to shops or on the road as well. Like you kind of get that feedback, which is, I think, a powerful thing. Yeah.
And you do have to kind of tell yourself, yeah, you know, this is right. This feels good. It feels right. Yeah, I can do it.
Aileen, in somewhat similar vein, as someone involved in the business development program at Offaly Local Development Company, is there a piece of advice you'd offer to makers tuning in this evening?
Yeah, Eddie, I suppose I would feel very strongly, particularly listening to the creatives that we have here and that we've been listening to. I think if creativity is there, you're not going to be able to hide it forever. It's going to keep coming back. You might have your 9-to-5 job, but that creative gene is there. I would say once the passion is there and you love it as much as you can see from the two girls, to go for it.
Face the fear.
Just face the fear, yeah, go for it. But take the advice, learn as much as you can. Take part in programs, like we have a business development program here that I coordinate. Westmeath Community Development have one equally in Westmeath. Fantastic programs that support people through all of the aspects that you need in order to run a successful business. Programs like what we're doing here that are specifically for the craft sector. Like this program was designed for creatives to help them develop their businesses and to grow their businesses. So learn as much as you can. There's supports there as well through the local enterprise offices and various other agencies. But, you know, it's just not to go in, I suppose, with your eyes closed, because you can have a fantastic idea, but if you don't have the bones of the really kind of good business behind that, you know, you're risking. And as you said, Claire, you know, if people aren't maybe taken, and I know there's a lot of people out there now changing how they think because everybody is looking at their lifestyle since COVID. We're maybe looking at how can we live differently, how can we change, but just to make sure that you're following your dream, but that you've got the homework done, I suppose, in the background.
And the fear dissipates a little bit once you start putting the steps in place, doesn't it? The critical steps, the one step at a time. And as I like to say, you build the wall from the bottom up. You don't put the capstone on first.
It's the foundation.
It's the foundation.
I remember once kind of making a decision like that too. Will I, won't I, should I, shouldn't I? And I had a pain in the bottom of my stomach, like, you know, will I do it, or should I buy this equipment, or should I do that? And once I made the decision, that went. And it was just kind of saying, right, do it, just do it, you know.
I sometimes ask people at the end of a session, what's the first thing you're going to do by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to make this happen? And they all laugh nervously. But then within minutes, you see people saying, oh, I know what I'm going to do. You know, just taking that first step, isn't it? Yeah.
I think that, that's a really good point, the kind of the taking action thing. You know, I think like you're never going to get something absolutely perfect. But if you progress and take action, and then you're led by, you know, consumer feedback, you know, that's really important. Like you're always learning. I suppose that was my very first experience of selling, was like I hadn't a notion, and I was getting all the advice from shop owners, and it was brilliant because it was active market research. So you were actually thinking, well, this is what they want. This is the price they want it at. Instead of kind of being at home in your living room in the backs of beyonds, like it was go out and, you know, just do it and then get the feedback, and then that's the best, and then you have the support. So if you have the two together, you can get, and as you said, step by step, and then you can see where you go from there.
Yeah, and I think the networking as well, you know, that being with like-minded people, that's
absolutely.
As you said, that event, if there was people thinking of doing something, they'd learn a lot from chatting to other people, and we've all done that all the ways along and continue to do so.
Well, when I look back when we started the Council of Irish Fashion Designers, you know, people thought, you know, oh, they must be coming together to drink champagne, you know, and on white leather couches. And it was founded on utter devastating loneliness of people in small studios all around the country and no one to speak to. And the day they started doing simple things like saying, does anyone know the name of a good courier? It brought them together, you know, and we started off with, I think it was maybe 14 people. There are now 45 people in the organization, and it grew even through the pandemic, you know. So that, as you say, networking, that supporting each other and coming to trust each other as friends in business is really, really critical. Any disasters along the way?
I'll start with that one.
Only one now, Rosemary.
You know me too well, Eddie. Well, actually, it was funny because I was thinking, we had like that too with support. We had a stand at the Ploughing Championship, and of course, Storm Alley came along. Disaster. But in saying that, lucky enough, one day it was cancelled, and then we had the next day we came in anyway. Lucky enough, our stand was grand. And this lady came in. We weren't long in, and this lady came in, and she was from Cork. And I said, "God, aren't you great after coming up after Ali yesterday?" She said, "I was up here yesterday, but I had to go home." I said, "You came back today, like, you know?" And she said, "Yeah." So anyway, it ended up anyway. She was looking at. I think she had seen some of my paintings somewhere, so she was coming straight to me. So anyway, she was looking at two paintings, and she says, "God, I don't know which one. I'll go off and I'll have a cup of tea and I'll come back." And I think of this and I kind of say, "All right, you know, that's grand." So she came back. I thought, "Oh, I mightn't see her again," but she did. She came back after coming from Cork twice. I suppose she would come back to the stand, but she picked the painting anyhow, and it was just so strange. I took down the painting, and I actually had the name on the back of it. And you won't believe the name of on the back of it was Storm on the Horizon. I can't believe it. But I'll never forget that. And we just laughed and looked at each other, you know. But that was Storm on the Horizon. So I think she was meant to have that.
Meant to have it indeed,
Yeah, so it was just.
Claire, that'd be a funny story.
Well, it's another weather related thing.
It's Ireland. We always talk about the weather.
I have this memory of exhibiting at the Maritime Festival in Dublin alongside the Liffey, and I had we all had to have our own marquees. I think mine ended up in the Liffey. And at that moment, it was just like, I have to exhibit inside from now on.
Cool.
Yeah.
Lesson learned. Yeah.
And I have burnt off most of my eyebrows working. So there's definitely, we suffer for our art as well. But yeah.
Very good. Very good.
So, yeah.
We have, I think we've one or two questions or comments coming in. I see one from Michelle Ryan there. I've one of those coasters. That's one of your coasters.
Yeah.
Perfect for when you're traveling. It comes with me wherever I lay my hat up and down the UK.
Yeah.
There you are. Helen Keneally is saying the program has been great support, including the online training, product development and videography. Teresa Doyle, I want to mention Teresa. Indeed, I'm just going to do it herself and Katie McKay. They can't be with us this evening. Teresa is a fantastic person at capturing memories in her amazing dolls. So you'll find her contact details in the digital catalogue, and also there too you'll find some information and news and contact details on Katie McKay's wonderful Ohm Treasure jewellery collection, executed using our great heritage Ohm script. So you can check them out on the digital catalogue, and you've already heard where you'll find it on the craftlink.eu website. Now, before we wrap up this evening, I want to ask you guys two things. First of all, I want to ask what your teenage self would think of the journey you've come on and where you are today. Rosemarie.
My memory's gone, Eddie. Teenager self. Well, I mean, my teenager self. I grew up and as everybody went to school, did your leaving cert, got a job, and got married. So, as that was the kind of thing that you did at the time. So my teenager self said, "Well, you did well, like." But I raised my family first, and as I say, I had the family young when I was young, and now it's my time to do what I like. So my teenager self would probably say, you know, you ended up doing what you always probably wanted to do, as in when I worked, I used my hands. So you followed your dream, I suppose. That's what I think.
I bet the family are very proud of the work you do, are they?
And, oh, they are. I mean, you know, and it's amazing. You know, they mightn't say it out loud, but you get that feeling from them, and you know, they might be saying something. You know, they wouldn't probably say it to you straight up. My lads, I'm talking about now, but they, you know, they would be very proud to their friends, or you'd hear this or that or other from, you know, that they are proud of it, and even as you say, I think I have grandkids now, and I find that I love the fact that they're being creative, and hopefully I'm going to inspire them to. Not that I need to inspire them; they inspire me, because when you see what a child is, you know, will draw and just not be afraid and go at it. I says, you know, that's the way to go. But yeah, it is.
And Claire, what would your teenage self say to you if she walked in here now about the company you've built, the work you've done, how you've brought it forward, introduced the new products?
You got lucky. I know.
Cheeky teenagers.
I suppose I always wanted to do something that I enjoyed, and I always kind of had a very clear idea of what I probably was always going to do something probably for myself. And so I'd say I'd be happy enough. Like, yeah, I'd say I'd be like, yeah, you're very fortunate, you know. So yeah, I think I'm lucky. Yeah, I'd be.
You'd be happy you did it.
Yeah.
Now, the last thing, do you remember your website address, Rosemarie?
I do.
Tell everyone what your website address is.
Rosemarielangtry.com.
And what's yours, Claire?
Meab Enamels, that's MEAB Enamels, ENAMELS, and everybody's we'd love them to use that code Irish10 if they want to get a little discount, because we're very appreciative of their support.
Okay, well, I've thoroughly enjoyed these 3 sessions. They've been good humoured, they've been full of good advice and great stories, and I'm delighted this evening that Aileen and Roisin have been able to join us as well. So to the 4 of you, Claire, Rosemarie, Roisin and Aileen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Eddie.
Thank you, Eddie.
Can I just say before you finish there, a sincere thank you to you for the work that you've done on this programme. It is much appreciated, and I'm glad we coaxed you to keep going.
Thank you, Eddie.
You have a great way with words. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure. Really has. Really enjoyable. Thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the session, and good night to you all.